Wait, Flick Picks.
All right, so on Flick Picks tonight, Vince, we are reviewing Hostel 3.
Mm, mm,
Have you seen any of the other Hostel movies?
I've seen Hostel 1, I think it was, and I only saw like the last portion of it. I never got to watch the entire film yet.
Well, I did go see Hostel in the show, and then I did go see Hostel 2 in the show. Now, the one thing about these Hostel films, I mean, you know, that's where the terminology torture porn came from, was from the Hostel movies.
Mm, mm.
I mean, that didn't exist before the Hostel movies because there was nothing like the Hostel movies before the Hostel movies.
Now every other torture porn film that comes out can be compared to the Hostel movies because they were the first ones to do the torture porn.
And basically what that means is extreme violence that you see. So I didn't even know they made Hostel 3 until my wife pointed it out on Netflix. She's like, there's Hostel 3. How come you haven't watched it? And I'm like, well, I didn't know they were making Hostel 3.
Well, I actually knew they were making Hostel 3, and when it finally, I didn't expect it to debut on Netflix as soon as it did. It actually did show up on Netflix pretty quickly.
I said, Vince, watch Hostel 3.
And I said, Dave, but I haven't seen Hostel 1 or 2.
By watching Hostel 3, did you really have to see the first two to understand any of what was going on in the third one?
I wouldn't say I had to, no.
Yeah, because it's an entirely new story. So that's why if no one's ever seen Hostel 1 or if you've never seen Hostel 2, you can actually watch the third one. It's not like a Friday the 13th or Halloween where they're always like consistently, you know, following each other. This is an entirely new story.
Without you telling me that they, you know, don't, there's no consistent characters or no consistent story that goes into Hostel 3, I wouldn't know that.
Well, the only continuing story is the company that tortures these people. I mean, those were in the first two movies, and that's the only thing that's in Hostel 3 that carries over from the other two movies. Obviously, otherwise there wouldn't be a movie there.
So what did you really think of the movie?
Tell you the truth, when I started watching it, I was expecting the very worst because I was like, okay, straight to DVD, you know, straight to Netflix, not coming in the show. To, you know, I expected, usually when they do that with a horror franchise, it means the death of the horror franchise. Like, for example, Hellraiser. Everything that's coming out on DVD from Hellraiser has been crap. So I was actually expecting that from this. But from the first 10 minutes of the movie, I could tell it was actually going to be a high-quality film.
Yeah, it actually turned out to be fairly decent. I really enjoyed the movie. And I can't say that I was necessarily scared by any of it, but yeah, for grossness, yeah, it had some pretty gross parts.
And the thing with Hostel 3 is I actually, believe it or not, liked it better than the first two movies, just for the simple fact it did have a story. It's like the first one that really had a decent story to it, and the directing here was awesome. I don't know who directed this film, but it was really well done. Very quality, well-directed film.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that. It was actually, I actually enjoyed it. And now that I've seen it, I do want to go and see Hostel 1 and Hostel 2.
The thing about Hostel 3, too, is, which I kind of enjoyed, sort of, was it didn't go for the gross out factor. That was the only reason they made the first two movies, like I said, is for you to puke in your popcorn. And this one, I mean, there's a few gross scenes in it here and there, but it's not overly insanely bad. I mean, it's stuff you've seen in other horror films that's not shockingly horrible or anything, you know.
Yeah, and as a matter of fact, what I saw of Hostel 1 seemed a lot more gross than what I saw in Hostel 3.
Yeah, it didn't really go for the gross out factor. It actually went for entertainment factor, unlike the first two movies. And I thought that was really, really cool that they did that.
I actually have to say it was a really good horror film.
It's one of those rare movies I'm sitting there watching because I was watching it really late at night. I started watching it like 11 o'clock at night, and it was one of those things where well, if this was really horrible in the first 10 minutes, I'm turning it off. And then I watched it straight through, and I was like, wow, that impressed me. It was good.
It actually did keep you interested the entire time.
If they're continuing in this direction, I really would like to see Hostel 4 and see where they take it now.
Okay, well, I would actually have to give Hostel 3, Part 3, 5 Normans.
I would actually give it 5 as well. Just for the fact that it surprised the holy living crap out of me.
Exactly.
So this was the big surprise so far of Horror Month. I gotta say, went to watch this and was really, really pleasantly surprised with it, and a great film. So if you have Netflix and if you want to just watch a good horror film, check it out.